Hello and welcome back to Europa Universalis 4. I am Lord Forwind, here with another requested guide, this time to the Maya, or the Mayans in general. So after a bit of study, I've come up with this guide. First off, and this is probably the only time I will ever recommend a game, take one of the northern three Maya who have the default Mayan ideas, rather than taking Kiche down here, who has unique ideas, because in my experience in testing, the Northern Mayan idea tree is actually stronger, mainly due to the unrest fort defense, but also for the development, expansion, tech, attrition, and morale, which these guys get some of, but not all of. Specifically, they are missing the attrition and the development cost, which, considering you're living in a jungle, will help quite a bit with making you a large, powerful nation. So, in my experience, the easiest one to play as is Itza here, or Zu, mainly because Itza is one of the larger of the Maya ones compared to these two. Essentially, you are a pagan. Well, you follow the Mayan religion, which is similar to the Nahuatl, but different in other ways. You do not have the Renaissance, or actually you don't even have feudalism, and you can't gain any of the institutions to reform your religion or convert to a colonizer's religion. So, just a quick overview for the religion. Similar to the Aztecs, but you don't have Doom, which makes a big difference. Your reforms are 10% land maintenance, -2 unrest, 10% infantry combat ability, +1 colonist, and -20% core creation cost. In order to pass a reform, you have to have 20 cities, at which point all the nations within your country will regain their independence. So like if you've conquered these guys and you pass a reform, they will become an independent nation again, and you will lose your cores on them, which means you'll have to recore them, which means reform the bureaucracy is actually really good reform to take early on. I recommend the first one, though, be infantry combat, followed by core creation, followed possibly by the unrest, depending where you are, but the colonists are good once you get through the Nahuatl region, and land maintenance is also good. If you're really clever, you conquer your way up here for your third one, and then use colonists to start colonizing here, because they'll colonize a lot faster in drylands than they will in not only tropical, but also jungle in general. So I'll just also point this out. There are 4 Mayan provinces down here, 4 in your land, 4 in these guys, and 3 here. So if you add all those up, you don't actually have enough provinces to pass the religious reforms. You need at least 5 from the Nahuatl nations. So the easiest ones to take are obviously the Zapotec regions here, and then some up here. I tend to take the Zapotec, and usually not the Tonak ones. I usually tend to steal one of Mixtec's, mainly because Zapotec and Mixtec sometimes are allies. It varies. But the first move should be definitely subdue the Maya, and then focus on the Nahuatl. But it is important to realize that the Aztecs are honestly your biggest threat. With the infantry combat ability and the bonus morale the Nahuatl nations get in general, they can have a very powerful army that can beat you even if you're like 2 to 1 larger than them. All you have is tolerance of true faith and possible advisors. You don't actually have anything helping you in combat other than fort defense early on. So fighting wars against the Nahuatl nations is tough. I recommend you don't go above 20 because you'll lose a lot of the land. You'll pretty much reform back down to your base starting nation, which makes actually growth impossible until you've passed all 5 reforms. Obviously, you could just conquer this all and not pass any reforms and then wait to change religion when a European colonizer shows up, but I don't recommend that. Unlike the Aztec, you can pretty much pass all your reforms rather quickly, especially if you stagger truces and stuff. Also, if you truce break, you can also get somewhere rather quickly. The Maya specifically have events that tend to lead towards both legitimacy and stability more than the average nation in my testing, so you can recover from that. Also, since you're, Native American, you'll probably not actually get many techs passed. you can actually afford spending admin power on raising your stability. The important techs I've noticed to get, one of the big ones is getting to level 3 Diplotech so that you get 15 more settlers a year. That will obviously double your colonization speed. The other key is to go native repression. So you also, again, double it with another 20, or triple it in that case if you only got 10. If you can, trying to get to level 5 admin tech is good. The odds of you getting there are very low. I would also try to get to level 3 military or level 4, just it'll help with the wars against the Nahuatl as you've got more morale. But don't be concerned if you don't get past 3 in each tech. It's really hard to get far as a Native American anywhere. But once you pass the reforms, you pretty much want to subdue this region, start colonizing north. Try to colonize along the coast first so the Europeans can't immediately land there. Or some people will advocate you colonize one province in from the coast so that when the Europeans land, you're right next to them immediately. Usually the Europeans take quite a while to actually conquer you. They'll find you by 1530, but they probably won't attack you till almost 1600. I mean, that's not a hard and fast rule, so be careful of it. But they will usually, if you've colonized up here, want this land before they want your other land down here. With the gold mines that you'll get from conquering the Aztec and the other Nahuatl nations, you should have a decent income. To some degree, it's worth building up a mass stockpile of money so that if they do attack you, you can almost sue for peace immediately, and they'll just take a lot of your money. But the key is you have to border them. You'll reform the religion. You will get, I think it's 3/4 of their tech and their institutions. And that will catch you up a fair amount with them. Once you've reformed, though, the Maya religion probably is the strongest religion in the game. The Nahuatl is pretty close. Might be less than the Nahuatl, but it's definitely better than the Inca religion or any of the other major religions as well. It's really good. It gives you quite a few bonuses. Sadly, there is not any specifically Maya-related achievements that I am aware of. I haven't played as the Maya really that much, so I wouldn't have gotten any of them. But yeah, they can do a lot better than the Aztec in subduing this region. Once you get the chance, you want to try and colonize. If you get an idea group, you probably want to go exploration, just so you can colonize and have more colonists. Once you reform, though, you want to hop, skip, jump your way down to Colombia here, border the Inca and invade them because you'll have a tech advantage, and you want to do it before the Europeans arrive. But if you subdue that region and you subdue the Mexican region, you'll have lots of gold, and you'll be a very large nation. And then it's just a matter of keeping up in tech. Now is where the fact that I advocated if you're Maya, take development costs, because if you go economic, which I usually recommend you take exploration, then defensive, or vice versa. Probably defensive, just so you can fight the Nahuatl nations better if you get there before the Europeans arrive. Once they do exploration, you'll need ships to explore, and you can't go over sea colonization until you reform. The third idea probably should be economic. And you want to finish it off for the development. That will give you 30% cheaper development cost. Doesn't sound much because all of this land is jungle, but there are a few little holdout grassland provinces like this one, which can be very good to develop institutions in. Some of these down here are only hills and not the worst, but the key point is up here you have drylands, which are only 5 development cost. So 30, you'll get 25, 25% cheaper. So you can easily pop a few institutions down up in this region, which will make a huge difference to keeping up in tech. It's definitely why you want to pick the default Mayan countries rather than the unique one. The development cost is huge, but also if the Europeans invade later on, the attrition for enemies combined with your defensive ideas attrition just make invading your land a nightmare. for any large powers. Plus the morale and other stuff are always good. Plus you get infantry combat ability if you finish. So you can actually be a fairly powerful military nation. And then it's just a matter of expansion. If you want gold income, you probably want to swing either to the Panama trade node, and obviously at the beginning you want to send a colonist to the Mexican trade node, or once you reform, get strength, try and conquer the Caribbean from the Europeans and then steer trade there, because the Caribbean is one of the big trade nodes that you can steer pretty much all the New World trade to, a couple little exceptions. At which point you can pretty much do what you want. Obviously the Europeans are hard to fight, but you can keep up in development and stuff. Try to stockpile a good amount of your monarch power for when you reform your religion and get the institutions, just so that you can keep up in tech. Obviously, once you reform though, try to get tech before you get ideas. Specifically, military tech is much more powerful than military idea groups. Plus, higher military tech means the Europeans are less likely to attack you. If this still isn't enough for you to understand how to play these guys, please check out my How to Play Native American guide or How to Play the Aztec guide, and that might give you a few more tips for this. Also, feel free to ask any questions in the comments below. And if you enjoyed it and this helps you, please subscribe and like the video, or comment that you really like it. And check out all the other ones. We've got guides to pretty much all of the major nations and a lot of the achievements. Feel free to suggest new achievements and nation country guides down below. I do that too. And thank you guys all for watching. Bye for now.